All glory to Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki jai. All glory to Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami Maharaj ki jai. Sri Chaitanya Charitamrta Madhya Lila, Chapter 17, Text 82. Ei mata nanasuke prabhu aila kasi, madhyana sanna kaila manikari nakayasi. Finally, the Lord arrived with great happiness at the holy place called Kasi. There he took his bath in the bathing ghat known as Mani Karnika. Purport. Kasi is another name for Varanasi, Benares. It has been a place of pilgrimage since time immemorial. Two rivers named Ashiha and Varuna merged there. Mani Karnika is famous because, according to the opinion of great personalities, a bejeweled earring fell there from the ear of Lord Vishnu. According to some, it fell from the ear of Lord Shiva. The word mani means jewel, and Karnika means from the ear. According to some, Lord Vishwanath is the great physician who cures the disease of material existence by delivering a person through the ear, which receives the vibration of the holy name of Lord Rama. Because of this holy name is called Mani Karnika. It is said that there is no better place than where the river Ganges flows, and the bathing ghat known as Mani Karnika is especially sanctified because it is very dear to Lord Vishwanath. In the Kasi Kanda, it is said, Samsari Chintamanir Atra Yasmat Tarakam Sajana Karnikayam. Maharaj, how do you read that? Samsari Chintamanir Atra Yasamat Tarakam Sajana Karnikayam. Shivo bidhate saha shanta kale tajiyate sa umani karni keti mukti lakshmi mahapita manistach charhan vajayo karnikayam tata prabhur yam jana mani karnikam. According to this passage from the Kasi Kand, one who gives up his body at Mani Karnika is liberated simply by remembering Lord Shiva's name. 83. Sehi kale tapana misra kare ganga snana prabhude ki hailatanra kichu vishmaya jnana. At that time, Tapana Misra was taking his bath in the Ganges, and he was astonished to see the Lord there. '84. Purvesuni yachi prabhu karyachena sanyas nishchaya karya haila hridaye ulasa. Tapana Misra then began to think, I have heard that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has accepted the renounced order. Thinking this, Tapana Misra became very jubilant within his heart. 85. Prabhura charana dhari kadena rodana prabhutare utana kaila alingana. He then clasped the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and began to cry. The Lord raised him up and embraced him. 86. Prabhulana gela visve varadara shane Tabeyasite ke bindu Madhava charane. Tapana Misra then took Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to visit the temple of Vishvesvara. Coming from there, they saw the lotus feet of Lord Bindu Madhava. Purport. The Bindu Madhava temple is the oldest Vishnu temple in Varanasi. At present, this temple is known as Vani Madhava and is situated on the banks of the Ganges. Formerly, 5 rivers converged there, and they were named Dutapapa, Kirana, Saraswati, Ganga, and Yamuna. Now only the river Ganges is visible. The old temple of Bindu Madhava, which was visited by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, was later dismantled by Aurangzeb, the great Hindu-hating emperor of the Mughal dynasty. In the place of his temple, he constructed a big masjid or mosque. Later, another temple was constructed by the side of the mosque, and this temple is still existing. In the temple of Bindu Madhava, there are deities of four-handed Narayana and the goddess Lakshmi. In front of these deities is a column of Sri Garuda, and along the side are deities of Lord Rama, Sita, Lakshman, and Sri Hanumanji. In the province of Maharashtra, it is a state known as Satara. During the time of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, the native prince belonged to the Vaishnava cult. Being a Brahmana, he took charge of worshipping the deity. He was known as Srimanta Balash Sahib Panta Maharaj. The state still bears the expenditure for the temple maintenance. The first king in this dynasty to take charge of worship in the temple 200 years ago was Maharaj Jagat Jivana Rao Sahib. '87. Garelana Aila Prabhu ke Ananditahana Sevakari Nrityakari Vastre Udana. With great pleasure, Tapana Misra brought Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to his home and rendered service unto him. Indeed, he began to dance, waving his cloth. '88. Prabhura Charanodaka Samaveshe Kailapana Bhattacharyera Puja Kaila Kariya Samana. He washed the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and afterwards he and his whole family drank the washed water. He also worshipped Balabhadra Bhattacharya and showed him respect. '89. Prabhude Nimantranakari Gare Bhiksha Dila Balabhadra Bhattacharya Pakakaraila. Tapana Mishra invited Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to take lunch at his home, and he had Balabhadra Bhattacharya cook. Purport. While at Varanasi, Benares, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu stayed at the house of Tapana Mishra. Near Tapana Mishra's house was a bathing ghat known as Panchanadi Ghat. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu used to take his bath daily at this ghat, and he used to see the temple of Bindu Madhava. Then he would take his lunch at Tapana Mishra's house. Near the Bindu Madhava temple is a big banyan tree, and it is said that after eating, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu used to rest beneath the tree. That banyan tree is still known today as Chaitanya Vat. Gradually, due to changes in language, the name became Yatanavat. The local people still call that place Yatanavat. At present, beside the lane, there is a tomb of Vallabhacharya, but there is no sign that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ever lived there. Vallabhacharya was also known as Mahaprabhu among his disciples. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu probably lived at Yatanavat, but there is no sign of Chandrasekhar's or Tapana Mishra's house, nor is there any sign of the Mayavad sannyasi, Prakashananda Saraswati, with whom Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu discussed the Vedanta Sutra. A little distance from the Yatanavat is a temple of Gaura Nityananda, established by Sashi Bhushan Niyogi Mahashaya of Calcutta. During the time of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, this temple was managed by the mother-in-law of Sashi Bhushan and his brother-in-law Narayana Chandra Ghosh. 90. Bichakari Mahaprabhu Karila Shayana Misraputra Raghukare Parasambhahana. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took his rest after lunch, the son of Tapana Mishra, named Raghu, used to massage his legs. 91. Prabhura se Shana Misra Samhavesha Kaila Prabhu Aila Suni Chandra Sekhara Aila. The remnants of food left by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu were taken by the whole family of Tapana Mishra. When news spread that the Lord had come, Chandrasekhar came to see him. 92. Visvera Sakatenho Prabhura Purvadasa Madhya Jati Likana Vritti Varnasi Vasa. Chandrasekhar happened to be a friend of Tapana Misras, and he was long known to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as his servant. He was a physician by caste, and by profession he was a clerk. At the time he was living in Varanasi. 93. Asi Prabhu Pade Padi Karena Rodhana Prabhu Uti Tandre Kripaya Kaila Alingana. When Chandrasekhar came there, he fell down before the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and began to cry. The Lord, standing up, embraced him out of his causeless mercy. 94. Chandrasekhara kahe Prabhu bara kripa kaila apane asiya dritye darashana dila. Chandrasekhar said, "My dear Lord, you have bestowed your causeless mercy upon me because I am your old servant. Indeed, you have come here personally to give me your audience." 95. Apana pradhave vasi varna shistane Vaya Brahma Sabda Vina Nahi Sunikane. Due to my past deeds, I am residing at Varanasi, but here I do not hear anything but the words Maya and Brahman. Purport. The word Prarabdha, past deeds, is important in this verse. Since Chandrasekhar was a devotee, he was always eager to hear about Krishna and his transcendental pastimes. Most of the inhabitants of Benares were and are impersonalists, worshippers of Lord Shiva, and followers of the Panchopashana method. The impersonalists imagine some form of the impersonal Brahman, and to facilitate meditation, they concentrate upon the forms of Vishnu, Shiva, Ganesh, Surya, and Goddess Durga. Actually, these Panchopashakas are not devotees of anyone. As it is said, to be a servant of everyone is to be a servant of no one. Varanasi, or Kasi, is the chief holy place of pilgrimage for impersonalists, and it is not at all suitable for devotees. A Vaishnava likes to live in a Vishnu Tirtha, a place where Lord Vishnu's temples are present. In Varanasi, there are many hundreds and thousands of Lord Shiva's temples, or Panchopashaka temples. Consequently, Chandrasekhar expressed great unhappiness as he informed Lord Chaitanya that he was obliged to live in Benares due to his past misdeeds. As said in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Dorjati Arambakam Papam Yatsyat Prarabdham Evatat. According to one's own past misdeeds, one takes birth on a lower platform. But in the Brahma Samhita 5.54, it is said, Karmani nirdahati kintu cha bhakti bhajam. There is no karma attached to the past deeds or misdeeds of one in devotional service. A devotee is not subjected to karma phal, the effect of fruit of activity. Karma phal is applicable to karmis, not bhaktas. There are three kinds of devotees. Those who are eternally on the transcendental platform, Nitya Siddha, those who have been elevated to the transcendental platform by the execution of devotional service, Sadhana Siddha, and those who are neophytes advancing toward the perfectional platform, Sadhaka. The Sadhakas are gradually becoming free from fruit of reaction. The Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 1.1.17 describes the symptoms of Bhakti Yoga thus. Kleshagni Subhadha Moksha Lokuta Krit Sudhoraba Sandrananda Vishnashtama Sri Krishna Karshini Shasha. Devotional service is kleshagni, even for beginners. This means that it reduces or nullifies all kinds of suffering. The word subhada indicates that devotional service bestows all good fortune, and the word Krishna Akarshini indicates that devotional service gradually attracts Krishna toward the devotee. Consequently, a devotee is not subject to any sinful reaction. In the Bhagavad Gita 18.66, Krishna says, Sarva dharmam parityaga mamekam sharanam vraja Aham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshasyami masucha. Abandon all varieties of religion and just surrender unto me. I shall deliver you from all sinful reactions. Do not fear. Thus a fully surrendered, sincere devotee immediately receives relief from all kinds of sinful reactions. There are 3 stages of fructification for sinful activity. At one stage, one commits the sinful act. Before that, the seed of this act exists, and before that, there is ignorance whereby one commits the sin. Suffering is involved in all 3 stages. However, Krishna is merciful to his devotee, and consequently he immediately nullifies all 3 stages, the sin, the seed of the sin, and the ignorance that leads one to sin. The Padma Purana confirms this. Aprarabdha phalam papam utam bijam phalo mukam kramenaiva praliyeta Vishnu Bhakti ratatmanam. For a further explanation of this topic, the Nectar of Devotion should be consulted. 96. Sadarshana Vyakhya Vina Kata Nahi Eta Mishra Kripa Kari More Sunana Krishna Kata. Chandrasekhar continued, there is no talk at Varanasi other than discussions on the 6 philosophical theses. Nonetheless, Tapana Mishra has been very kind to me, for he speaks about topics relating to Lord Krishna. Purport. The 6 philosophical theses are 1. Vashika, propounded by Kannada Rishi; 2. Nyaya, propounded by Gautama Rishi; 3. Yoga or mysticism, propounded by Patanjali Rishi; 4. The philosophy of Sankhya, propounded by Kapila Rishi; 5. The philosophy of Karma Mimamsa, propounded by Jainini Rishi; and 6. The philosophy of Brahma Mimamsa, or Vedanta, the ultimate conclusion of the absolute truth, Janmati Asya Yata, propounded by Vedavyas. Actually, Vedanta philosophy is meant for the devotees because in the Bhagavad Gita 15.15, Lord Krishna says, Vedanta Krid Vedha Videva Shaham. I am the compiler of Vedanta, and I am the knower of the Vedas. Vyasadeva is an incarnation of Krishna, and consequently Krishna is the compiler of the Vedanta philosophy. Therefore, Krishna clearly knows the purport of Vedanta philosophy. As stated in the Bhagavad Gita, whoever hears Vedanta philosophy from Krishna is actually aware of the real meaning of Vedanta. The Mayavadis call themselves Vedantists, but do not at all understand the purport of Vedanta philosophy. Not being properly educated, people in general think that Vedanta means Shankarite interpretation. 97. Nirantara dunhe chinti tomhara charana sarvagya isparatumi dila darashana. My dear Lord, we think of your lotus feet incessantly. Although you are the omniscient Supreme Personality of Godhead, you have granted us your audience. 98. Suni Maha Prabhuya Bena Shri Vrindavane Dinakatara Hitara Vrityadhuvi Jane. My Lord, I have heard that you are going to Vrindavan. Please stay here at Varanasi for some days and deliver us, for we are your 2 servants. Purport. Although Chandrasekhar is an eternal servant of the Lord, he humbly presented himself as fallen, and therefore he requested the Lord to deliver him and Tapana Mishra, his 2 servants. 99. Mishrakahe Prabhuya Vatkashite Rahibha Orani Mantrana Vina Anyana Maniba. Tapana Mishra then said, My dear Lord, as long as you stay at Varanasi, please do not accept any invitation other than mine. 100. Eyi mata Mahaprabhu duhi britera vashe Ichanahi tabutata rahila dinadasa. Even though he had not made such a plan, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu remained for 10 days at Varanasi, being obliged by the requests of his 2 servants. 101. Maharastriya Vipra Aishe Prabhu Dekhi Bhare Prabhura Rupa Prema Dekhi Haya Chamatkare. At Varanasi there was a Maharashtrian Brahmana who used to come daily to see Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. This Brahmana was simply astonished to see the Lord's personal beauty and ecstatic love for Krishna. 102. Vitrasabhane mantraya prabhu nahi mane prabhu kahe aji mora anache nimantrane. When the Brahmanas of Varanasi would invite Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to lunch, the Lord would not accept their invitations. He would reply, I have already been invited somewhere else. 103. Ehi mata pratidina karena vanchana sanyasira sangha bhaye ramanena nimantrana. Every day Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu refused their invitations because he feared associating with the Mayavadi sannyasis. Purport. A Vaishnava sannyasi never accepts an invitation from a party who considers Mayavadi sannyasis and Vaishnava sannyasis to be one and the same. In other words, Vaishnava sannyasis do not at all like to associate with Mayavadi sannyasis, to say nothing of eating with them. This principle must be followed by the sannyasis of the Krishna consciousness movement. That is the instruction of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu given by his personal behavior. 104. Prakashananda Sripada Sabhate Vashiya Vedanta Padana Bahu Shishagana Lana. There was a great Mayavadi sannyasi named Prakashananda Saraswati who used to teach Vedanta philosophy to a great assembly of followers. Purport. Sripad Prakashananda Saraswati was a Mayavadi sannyasi, and his characteristics have been described in Chaitanya Bhagavata, Madhya Kand, Chapter 3. Hasta pada mukha mora nahi lochan vedha more ei mata kare vedambana kashite padaya veta prakasha ananda sei veta kare mora anga kanda kanda rakhana ye veda mora vigraha namane sarvange hai lakusta tabu nahi jane sarvaya janmaya mora ye yanda pavitra ajabhava arigaya yanhara charitra punya pavitra tapaya ye yanga parashe tata mithya bhave veta kemana sahase. In the Madhya Kand, chapter 20, it is said, Sannyasi prakshananda vashaye kashite more kanda kanda veta kare bhala mate adhaya vadanta mora vigraha namane kusta karalu nange tabuna hi jane sacha mora lila karma sacha mora stana iha mithya bale more kare kan kan. Being an impersonalist, Prakshananda Saraswati used to explain the absolute truth as being without hands, legs, mouths, or eyes. In this way, he used to cheat the people by denying them the personal form of the Lord. Such a foolish person was Prakshananda Saraswati, whose only business was to sever the limbs of the Lord by proving the Lord in person. Although the Lord has form, Prakshananda Saraswati attempted to cut off the hands and legs of the Lord. This is the business of the demons. The Vedas state that people who do not accept the Lord's form are rascals. The form of the Lord is factual. For Krishna states in Bhagavad Gita 15.15, Vadaischa sarvar aham eva vadaya. When Krishna says aham, he says I am, which means I, the person. He adds the word eva, which is used for conclusive verification. Thus, studying Vedanta philosophy, one must come to know the Supreme Person. Whoever describes Vedic knowledge as impersonal is a demon. One becomes successful in life by worshipping the form of the Lord. The Mayavadi sannyasis deny the form of the Lord, which delivers all fallen souls. Indeed, the Mayavadi demons try to cut his form to pieces. The personality of Godhead is worshipped by exalted demigods like Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva. The original Mayavadi sannyasi, Shankaracharya, also accepted the fact that the Lord's form is transcendental. Narayana Paro Vyaktat. Narayana is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is beyond the Avyakta, the unmanifested material energy. Avyaktad Anda Sambhava. This material world is a creation of that unmanifested material energy. However, Narayana has his own eternal form, which is not created by the material energy. Simply by worshipping the form of the Lord, one is purified. However, Mayavadi sannyasis are impersonalist philosophers, and they describe the form of the Lord as Maya, or false. How can one be purified by worshipping something false? Mayavadi philosophers have no sufficient reason for being impersonalists. They blindly follow a principle that cannot be supported by reason or argument. This was the situation with Prakshananda Saraswati, the chief Mayavadi sannyasi of Benares. He was supposed to teach Vedanta philosophy, but he would not accept the form of the Lord. There he was, attacked with leprosy. Nonetheless, he continued to commit sins by describing the Absolute Truth as impersonal. The Absolute Truth, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, always displays pastimes and activities, but Mayavadi sannyasis claim that these activities are false. Some people falsely claim that Prakashananda Saraswati later became known as Prabhupada Saraswati, but this is not a fact. Prabhupada Saraswati was the uncle and spiritual master of Gopala Bhatta Goswami. In his Grihastha life, Prabodhananda Saraswati was a resident of Sri Ranga Kshetra, and he belonged to the Vaishnava Ramanuja Sampradaya. It was a mistake to consider Prakashananda Saraswati and Prabodhananda Saraswati the same man. 105. Eka vipra dekhi aila prapura vyapara Prakshananda age kahe charitra tanhara. A Brahmana who saw the wonderful behavior of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to Prakashananda Saraswati and described the Lord's characteristics. 106. Eka sannyasi aila jaganate haite tanhara mahima pratapa napari varnite. The Brahmana told Prakashananda Saraswati, "There is a sannyasi who has come from Jagannath Puri, but I cannot describe his wonderful influence and glories." 107. Sakala dekhi etante adbhuta katana Prakhananda sarira sudha kanchana varana. Everything is wonderful about that sannyasi. He has a very well-built and luxuriant body, and his complexion is like purified gold. 108. Janu lambita bhuja kamala nayana Yatakichu isvarera sarva salachana. He has arms that extend to his knees, and his eyes are like the petals of a lotus. In his person are all the transcendental symptoms of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Thus ends our reading for today. All glories to Sripad Bhakti Madhava Puri Maharaj Ki Jai. All glories to Om Vishnupad Srila Bhakti Charya Maharaj Ki Jai. All glory to Srimati Radharani Ki Jai. Hare Krishna.